Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. A freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show.
The engine is starting
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GMC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the R&N, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
What's up, all you freaks out there? This is Ryan.
And this is Rhonda.
And I've really got to start this show off with an apology
Uh-oh.
to everyone.
It must be a really famous day.
Yeah, when I scheduled this day, we scheduled these shows in advance, and it's on every Tuesday. We can't help it. That's just the way it is. That's how the law of the land. But I had no idea that the show would end up on National Zip Code Day.
Zip Code Day?
Zip Code Day, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm over here want to talk about ghosts when we should be talking about the history of zip codes. I am totally unprepared for this. And so I'm just gonna we're just gonna make this a show about zip codes. So buckle up, guys.
Is that bad that I don't know any of the history of zip codes?
Neither do I. Hopefully our guest knows about zip codes because I have no idea.
I know nothing.
But I know it's a big holiday. And I have one too. We all have one.
Right.
You know? And I know it's a big holiday, and I realize people are probably out celebrating with their families, you know, and I don't want to put any extra strain on them to come home in front of the computer, because you know that's what they do. They have dinner, like you know, back when we were kids, you eat dinner, you sit by the TV. I'm sure all the family are sitting by the computer right now watching the freaking awesome paranormal show. And I didn't mean to put any undue stress on them, because I know this is a time to be with your family. and to celebrate the goodness of the zip code.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everyone who's in the chat. Thank you guys. I realize you probably ended your parties early to come hang out with us on National Zip Code Day. And to add insult to injury, it is also National Patio Day.
National Patio.
National Patio Day. So guys, thank
We
you.
appreciate the patio.
We appreciate the patio. That's just a fun word to say too. Patio.
Patio. It sounds so fancy.
It sounds like Irish, doesn't it? Oh,
Yes.
patio.
It sounds so much fancier than deck.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
I'm gonna
anybody-
have a get together on the patio.
yes. Yeah, if you say I'm having a get together on the deck, you're like, oh my God. What kind of trailer park you living in? Not that nothing against trailer parks. There's some really nice.
No.
really
Well,
nice
I'm gonna
trailer
have
parks.
a get together on the porch.
Yes. You say deck, it just doesn't sound as fancy. Like you said,
Yeah.
I think you're going to a real party
Yes.
on the patio. But I guess patio is more of a concrete thing.
Yeah.
And deck is more of wood.
Yes.
Yes. So we talk about the differences between the patios and decks on the Freakin' Awesome Paranormal Show. Here it is. My party's right here. You are my party. You are all on my patio. Well, thank you, Vet Girl. Is that right?
All
this
right.
time?
We are partying on your patio.
On the veranda. Yes, no
On
veranda.
the veranda, Kevin. That's excellent.
That right there.
Yes.
That is one of those fancy words. Like you say, you want to make a restaurant sound fancy, call it a bistro. If you want to make any kind of food sound fancy, say artisan in front of it, and you're like, oh my God.
Yes.
You know? So
Like if you want to make a beer sound fancy, you call it a craft beer.
Crafts beer.
Yeah.
Or like handcrafted ice cream. What even is that? You take it with your hands. I mean, how do you handcraft ice cream? But people eat that shit up. Well, we got Mish. I don't know where Mish is from. He's saying good day. Maybe they're from Australia.
Awesome. Kevin, Michelle, Wilfong.
Oh my gosh.
In the
Happy.
house. Vet Girl.
All these people are coming on and joining us on National Patio and Zip Code Day.
Howie's joining us.
How cool is
Lois
that? Oh, Amanda's
Clark,
here.
Agatha, Gabby. All of the cool people are hanging out with us tonight.
This is the cool kids table over here. Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show.
Sarah.
So anyways.
Hey, Sarah.
Yes, Australia. Hell to the yeah.
We love our Australian and Canadian friends.
Do they have zip codes in Australia?
I think everywhere has a zip. I don't know.
That's just an American thing.
I'm not even gonna assume
They
everybody.
can't. They don't know how to tell temperature the right way anywhere else in America. So I don't. Maybe they don't have zip codes. Oh man. So, anyways, welcome to the Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show. We are here. We got an awesome guest tonight, Nathaniel Elwell. He is a host of the Paranormal Unveiled Podcast, and
nice.
He was supposed to be on the show 2 weeks ago.
When I was sick.
Yeah, and I was on vacation, so we just kind of maneuvered it, and he ended up on here tonight. So I'm super excited to talk to him about his paranormal experiences. What was up, Paul? What's up? Oh, from Michigan. I am a Michigan man. My family's from Michigan. I'm from Virginia, but my mom is actually from Livonia, Michigan, Detroit suburbs. So yeah, I've been up to D-Town. So welcome to the show. Rhonda, your voice is sounding better.
It is better. It was a little, we had an event this weekend, so I was talking all weekend, and it was a little rough yesterday, but I think we're in the clear voice wise now. Thank goodness.
Awesome. So
that was rough.
I'm glad you are feeling better.
Because the world needs a cause.
It has been complete anarchy for the past 2 weeks, where our viewers have no idea how to live their lives because you have not told them. The cards have not spoken through you.
I'm warming them up over here.
Guys, finally peace can come to the land. There were bombings, there were wars going on because
Yep. Oh my gosh, there's been craziness.
yes, because the cards were not read.
Craziness. All right, let's see what they say tonight. I'm pulling from my Animal Oracle deck tonight. I figured we could use a good card, and I love this deck because it's always positive. All right, let's see what it's saying this week. Oh, isn't this interesting? So we got the horse, which stands for freedom, which is kind of very telling, being as this week is the 4th of July for us here in the States. So there will be a lot of celebrations around freedom. But this says, your heart is pure and free. A greater purpose calls you. You have unlimited reserves of stamina and strength. You follow the winds of change and accomplish your dreams. So outside of the fact it's 4th of July week, I think this is all just a message to us not to hold back, to just go full force, grab life by the reins and just go. Don't hold back. Don't dim your light. There are things out there for you. And if you want them, go and get them.
There you go. If you want it, get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Giddy up.
Wow. So let's see. Amanda wants to know our Diddy trial predictions, and that's tough.
Oh gosh. Now that's a whole hot mess right there.
Yeah, yes. I've only heard bits and pieces of the trial, but he did some shit.
He was a freaky little dude.
Yes. Tell you what, man, I'm sure you have those parties, man. You're like, no one's gonna tell on me. Don't worry, I'm fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Well,
but that just flows in with the people with money. You know what I mean? Think they're immune to things a lot of times. So, and a lot of times they are. They are.
Because the people who are at those parties don't want any of the stories about them getting out either. So that they're not going to say anything about it. So
correct.
So yeah, I mean, I think Diddy may have taken that advice, the card advice, a little too much.
He ran wild.
Yes, yes.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But it has been. Yeah. It's been a crazy couple weeks with storms around and crazy weather, and
It's already July. I swear it felt like it was June for 3 months. I mean, honestly, I feel like it should be. Should be talking about the New Year, Christmas season right now because it felt like it's been June forever, and I don't know why it is. It's been just a slow month. But I had an epiphany today.
Okay.
I woke up this morning, and I realized that pumpkin spice lattes come back next month.
And you saw my response to your post about that.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yum. Actually, during the heat, it's not really that great, but it's just the fact that
pumpkin spice latte.
And when it's
110 heat index
with like 100% humidity,
hurl in your stomach the minute you drink it. And that's not going to be good.
It's the thing, though. Okay, it's the principle. It means there's, hell, Spirit of Halloween's probably opening up in a week.
I bet it is.
Probably. It's just like,
I bet it is.
Halloween decorations will be up. We'll be seeing Christmas trees in like 3 weeks in the stores.
Well, we probably will because there's a lot of things that happen interesting in July. Like a lot of different places and groups do like Christmas in July things.
I listened to Christmas music in my car the other day because it was June 25th. I was rocking out to Jingle Bells and stuff. Had my AC on full blast and try to pretend that I was hot or cold.
I can't with you.
It's the age of Aquarius now, so I think everything in every aspect of life is becoming transparent slowly but surely. I mean, that makes sense.
I would agree.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited for Halloween decorations, but not winter, not Christmas and Christmas music. And
I mean, I like listening to Christmas music. Only did because it's June 25th, just as a joke. But I'm not jamming out to Bing Crosby White Christmas like driving around my car in July.
Okay.
You know. But Halloween stuff, I went to Michael's the other day and they have Halloween stuff out already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed Michael's is, and so is Hobby Lobby.
And then people complain when Christmas comes out in like November. It's too early for Halloween's out in like 4 months before Halloween even gets here.
I'm with you, Amanda. I like pumpkin seeds. I don't like anything else pumpkin. Except I take that back. My friend Shonda from my paranormal team, she makes a pumpkin roll that I will eat. And I will eat the whole thing by myself.
I love the smell.
I don't even like pumpkin thing by myself.
With a pumpkin roll?
The ones that Shonda makes? Oh, yeah.
I might need to come up to Belle Grove and have one of those pumpkin rolls if she brings one.
We've got a lockdown in November. You should come get a pumpkin roll.
Yes. I'll make it a date. November. We'll come up to Belle Grove. Maybe I'll bring Angie with me.
Yes. Come join us.
That would be fun to do for sure. So off topic a little bit, talking about pumpkins and I do like pumpkin flavored pumpkin candles to not to talk too much about pumpkin stuff, but the fall candles are the best. So the Freakin' Awesome playlist, this is when we find songs, we ask our guests for some songs, and at the end of the year, we're going to put together a playlist of all our guests' songs, and we'll throw a few of our songs on there as well. But the song that our friend Nathaniel Elwell he chose is "The End of Heartache" by the Kill Switch.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, I figured that would be up your alley.
That is right up my alley.
I chose "Tramp" by Otis Redding.
Ooh.
And Rhonda chose.
I chose a song called "High Though" by Delvin. Dilvin. I'm not exactly sure how you say his name, but it's Dylvn.
Dilvin.
Dilvin.
High though, like high though, or high.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
for both of them.
Based on the song, I think it's like "High Though." You can say "High Though."
Here we go. Good song. Good choices, guys. I'm super excited to listen to those songs. So our guest this week is Nathaniel Elwell. He's a host of the Paranormal Unveiled Podcast. We're going to have him. I'm going to go ahead and put him on the show. Right. And Rhonda has got the paranormal question, not the paranormal question of the day, the Freakin' Awesome Paranormal Show question of the day. So let me go ahead and bring Nathaniel on to the show. Welcome, brother.
What's going on? How are you guys doing?
We are good. Doing good. Thank you again for joining us on National Zip Code Day. I appreciate you so much.
So, listening to you guys' intro, I don't know much about the zip code, but I know that the Postal Service, it was administered during the Eisenhower, his little stint as president, which wasn't a little stint, it was a long stint. But I know that a lot of people don't know that they're behind their, normal zip code is actually a dash number. And that dash number is actually the Postal Service that is within that city that is being delivered to.
Oh.
Well,
see?
I don't know too much about the postal code, and I had no idea about National Patio Day. If I had, I'd be outside on the patio right now.
I know. I mean, it's one of those holidays that kind of sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it's here, and you're like, "Oh crap! I didn't plan for it or anything."
I work for a company that builds bridges that's based out of Canada, and all day I was trying to get hold of IT tech support because I was having issues with my system. Come to find out, it's Canada Day, and I had
oh my God! Teresa is here. Our Canadian connection is in the chat. on Canada Day.
We would
I'm
have
wearing a
loved
red
to.
shirt from Canada.
So
There we
all
go,
day I was
guys.
trying to get a hold of the Canadian IT people so they could fix my system, not knowing they were on a civic holiday.
Dude, they're all drunk on maple syrup right now. They're just down in maple
Hey, I
syrup,
don't-
watching hockey, probably doing some curling, maybe some
I
ice
don't blame
fishing
them.
up there. You know,
I mean,
they're
Realistically,
can't be
besides
bothered.
ice hockey, curling, and then going walking in the snow or the Iditarod, what else do you have to do?
Drink maple syrup.
There's that.
Go to Tim Hortons. You know,
Oh, there's that.
I've never had Tim
Yeah.
Hortons.
you ever like Tim Hortons?
Never. No, never had it.
Oh,
Me neither.
man, I
But
mean,
now I can
I've
tell you-
had Tim Hortons coffee pods down here, and if I got them from Publix, so I'm like practically Canadian right now, just because I use maple syrup and I use Tim Hortons coffee, so I might as well have a dual citizenship or something.
You should. You absolutely should. But I can tell you guys, I know we had to reschedule due to Rhonda being sick, and then you
Yeah.
were on vacation. But I'm so happy that we were able to get this rescheduled, and
Yes.
I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on and talk with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Sorry about that, but I
Don't be sorry. It is what it is.
could only talk this loud
Yeah,
for 10 days. For
it'd be like
10
an
days.
it'd be like
It
an
was miserable.
ASMR podcast.
Look,
You
it
would have
is
been
what it
running
is.
the
I mean,
show, Nathaniel. You would have had to run the whole thing.
It'd be
I get
yourself.
it. I get it. For running my own podcast, there's been misschedulings because I'm new at this whole thing. I've only been doing my podcast for about 2 or 3 months now, and I've double booked myself and had to reschedule. And look, I get it. Stuff comes up.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's tough especially when you're first starting out on a podcast. You get overwhelmed, especially with being able to talk with so many people through TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff. It's hard to keep track. I've done that before. If I don't write stuff down, I'd be like, who do I have on the show this week? I had to go down through my messages to figure out, like, is it this person or not? But
so what I
before
started
you get
doing
into-
was I created a note. I don't know if you have an iPhone or an Android, whatever you may have, but I created a note in my iPhone to keep track with the reminders of who I have each day coming up on Sunday, because I always make promotional videos for my guests instead of doing like promotional posters. And so I know every Sunday morning I got to text my guests coming up on Wednesday and ask them, hey, I need 5 photos and a bio.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it's worked out pretty well. But
Yeah.
there are hiccups. There are times where someone had to cancel and I forgot that they canceled. For a good example, your show, I was waiting for the invite and I was like,
yeah.
hey,
I'm pretty sure I sent you a message.
you did. I was like, hey, I never got the invite to the show. And he was like, don't you remember we had to reschedule? And I'm like, no, I don't. But now that you mention it, I do.
Well, all right. A little behind the scenes, though, for you guys. We had a guest that's supposed to be come on tonight called the Bigfoot Finders. And I sent them a message. I sent them 2 or 3 messages. And I hope they were okay because I never got a response from them. So that's what I reached out to you, Nathaniel. I'm like, well, it's Sunday. I haven't heard anything back from them. I don't want to wait too long and then not be able to advertise the guest we have coming up. And so I messaged Nathaniel and asked him if he wanted to come on the show, and he was kind enough to come on the show. And I'm glad we were able to get the show on the road. But before we go into any more paranormal questions, I know Rhonda has been working hard up all night thinking of the freaking awesome paranormal show question of the day.
And he's saying
That's
that
it.
because I told him straight up, I don't have a question, I'm winging it. Okay,
Let's hear it.
well, since we now know that here in the U.S. we will be celebrating the 4th of July on Friday, and we know today was Canada Day. If you're Canadian, what did you do to celebrate today? And if you are celebrating the 4th, what will you be doing? I know that Robert Odell put this weekend is America's I'm a redneck and I'm drunk and I love American alcoholic 3-day event. And I like to blow up stuff while I'm drunk.
USA.
Don't forget that.
So what I will be doing for the 4th of July, because I reside in New Hampshire. So what I will be doing for the 4th of July is I have a pork butt and a brisket I'm throwing in the smoker first thing 4th of July morning. I recently got my smoker working. I have a vertical pit boss that can hold about 35 pounds of meat. And so I'm going to be smoking a brisket. I'm going to be smoking some pork butts. And hopefully at the end of the night, after we get done lighting off fireworks, I still have all my fingers.
So how far is it from here to New Hampshire? Because I'm gonna have to take a road trip and have some pork butt.
The pork butt and brisket. Heck yeah.
So I do all of my own homemade rubs. I do all my own homemade mop sauces. Like I do a homemade barbecue sauce. I don't buy anything from the store as far as when it comes to that kind of stuff when I'm smoking meat. Like if it's like a typical, if I'm throwing a pork butt into like a crock pot, yeah, I'll buy a store-bought barbecue sauce. But typically I make all of my own spices, all of my own rubs, all of that.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's so cool. You take the time to do all that, and I bet it tastes absolutely amazing.
The only time I've ever had a complaint was chicken with the bone on the inside, because just like when you're cooking chicken with the bone on the inside in the oven, it takes a little bit of a longer cook time. So the thing was, it just dried out in the smoker. It didn't work well.
Teresa says maple syrup makes a nice glaze for the meat. Just saying. You can celebrate Canada and America.
I use maple syrup when I smoke hams for Thanksgiving.
There we go. That's a good ham glaze right there. It can taste like dinner and breakfast at the same time.
Yeah, so my smoker has 4 racks. I removed 2, and typically I'll smoke a turkey on the bottom rack and a ham on the top rack because most hams come already pre-smoked. All you're pretty much doing is warming them up. Nice. But the turkey, I always stuff with stuff that can hold a good amount of water weight. That's what you want. You want to stuff it with onions. You want to stuff it with celery, potatoes, occasionally throw an apple in there throughout the cooking process. And it adds so much flavor, and it keeps it to where the meat doesn't get dry.
I mean, you're seriously making me hungry, and I'm not really thinking about grocery. To be honest with you,
now.
Yeah, I am.
But look,
it's a little sidetracked.
If you are not that far away, I don't know where you. What state are you in?
We're in Virginia.
Virginia, yeah, you're a good 5.5 hours away. I have to go down to Alabama. I go down to Alabama to visit my family every year. So.
Oh, that's not far. You can swing by here, drop us off some meat, and head on down to Alabama.
Well, I'm not going to Alabama anytime soon. I already made that trip for my daughter's graduation, and then we got stuck in traffic in freaking West Virginia for almost 5 hours.
Oh Lord!
Oh my gosh, that West Virginia traffic.
That was crap. Like I went down there for my daughter's graduation, and then they sit us in our seats, and I couldn't even see the graduation because of where they sat us. It was an absolute crapshoot.
That sucks, especially your daughter's graduation.
Yeah.
So the Pirates are coming back. For I guess the Pirate Festival is coming back according to Howie, which is awesome. That is in Virginia.
Yep.
Howie, yes, I love to blow things up on this weekend. LOL Cyber Redneck. So I'm talking about.
I can't think of any American out there that if your state allows you to buy fireworks, that you do not want to blow something up and buy fireworks.
I'm sure there are some Americans who don't like it, but you know they can just stay home.
I promise you, my ex is one of them. My ex couldn't stand the fact that we lit off our own fireworks. She was like, "No, we need to go to professionals." We've been doing this for like 20 years. We basically are professionals.
That's right. That's right.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah, and there was one year with I think it was the first year I moved up here almost 11 years ago. It was a little bit before the 4th of July, and we couldn't afford to go and buy fireworks. So what do? The Southern thing. We started a bonfire and threw about 6 cans of full spray foam into the bonfire.
Do it yourself fireworks, man. That's called it's like MacGyver.
I did not expect the amount of explosion those things gave off. I will admit that. But it was a good time.
You live and you learn, right?
You do.
See, I'm one of those people. I like fireworks, okay, but I'm not one of those people who likes to watch long, like 20-minute fireworks displays. To me, I'm just like, okay, they pretty soon they start all looking the same.
They do.
But the people spend a lot of money for them So you kind of
Good.
feel like you have to, cheer every time you see one.
But do you?
I mean,
There's
you don't
been
have
times.
to.
There's been times my father has bought fireworks, and I am not BSing you. There's been times that we've had $4,000 to $5,000 of fireworks in this house for 4th of July, which our neighbors across the street, about eighth of a mile away, they hate us because they own horses. But
I'm
Ooh.
sure they love that. Yeah, the horses love fireworks.
well, my parents give them the respect of calling them every 4th of July, and we tell them when we're setting off fireworks. Either way, the police get called, and the police get here and they sit out and watch the fireworks.
Free fireworks.
Yeah,
I mean,
and there were times when my father bought some. He was like, "Oh, this looks so great," and he lights it off, and I looked at him like, "Dad, that sucked."
There's always a dud in the batch, or a
yeah.
couple of duds.
I'm a simple guy. I like the stuff that stays on the ground, the sparkles and the whistles, or even the Saturn missiles that fire off like 200 or 300 Saturn missiles at once. I like those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my dad sets off fireworks in North Carolina. Not 4th of July, but when we go down there for the beach. And they're always the like the Roman candle type stuff that stays on the ground because it's illegal to shoot fireworks off in
Right.
the air.
Yeah.
Plus, he did it at the beach. It was probably January, so nobody's down there. And he set off like, I don't know, maybe 10 of them. And these little caps that fall down that you've got to pick up. And Dad said there were like over like 300 of them. They had to walk down the beach and pick up like on a cold day.
Oh, they make a mess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So while we're on the topic of fireworks, before we get into the paranormal stuff, you ever been involved in a bottle rocket war?
No.
I've had a few battles myself.
So we had a bottle rocket war one year. It was myself, my brother, my uncle, my buddy Russell, and he comes into huge play, and this is why I'm telling this story, and his brother Nicholas. So they're lighting off bottle rockets, and it's all good and well. We're avoiding them. Well, my buddy Russell decides to light up a few Roman candles and start shooting them at us.
Mm.
I go after him. He jumps in his truck and doesn't roll the passenger side window up.
Wah, wah.
I had a torch lighter, and I lit a whole pack of bottle rockets and threw them into his truck while he was sitting in there. They went off, caught his hair on fire. It was epic.
Oh my God.
He wasn't hurt,
I mean,
but it was funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing he wasn't hurt, but damn, the stuff that people used to do, and you wonder why we're not like either missing a limb or an eye
Oh,
or
yes,
dead.
for sure. My brother, 2 years before that, you can't get the old school cherry bombs you used to get back in this, 80s and 70s now.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have these M80s that are kind of watered down M80s. You can even get the little M60s. So my brother comes at me and he's shooting off Roman candles, and I lit an M60 and threw it. Wasn't watching where it was going. I was just trying to spook him. Went into his pants pocket. I blew the pocket right off his pants.
God.
And he may or may not have peed himself. I'm not sure if I can say that on air because he might kill me. But I'm telling you that did happen.
I would
Allegedly.
pee myself if one went off in my pocket.
Yeah,
I
I
guarantee
think
you.
I might lose control
Yeah,
of just about everything if someone.
I know it might even be worse than that.
Yeah.
it did happen allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's you got to put that word in there. Teresa says her daughter's birthday is on July 4th.
Nice.
So happy
Well,
early
happy
birthday to Teresa's daughter being born on the 4th of July. So when you what made you decide to start the podcast Paranormal Unveiled? How did you get into the paranormal, and what got you to the point where you want to start a podcast?
I love your style because on my podcast, I do a lot of multi-part questions. I love the way you integrated the multi-part there. So what got me into the paranormal was a very long story. I'll try and give you the best condensed version that I can. For anyone out there that wants to know the whole story in its entirety, you can go to my YouTube channel and I have the whole story labeled out there. But I was basically, I guess you could say, harassed by something when I was about 17 or 18. And that followed me into when I was about 22 years old after I had gotten married. Um, the culmination of what made me want to get into the paranormal was I came home from work. At that point in time, I was a supervisor at McDonald's. I came home from work at about 3:10 in the morning. Pulled into the driveway. The lights in the kitchen were on because my ex-wife used to leave the lights on for me so that way I didn't have to fumble around the kitchen. But I could see shadows moving inside the blinds. And I'm like, there's no way she's still awake. I go inside. No one's awake. She's asleep. My daughter's asleep. Everyone. So I go back to bed. I lay down and I fell asleep. And I don't know if anyone listening or if either of you two have ever experienced a bout of sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
It is one of the most terrifying things you'll ever encounter in the paranormal. And I tell you that because I'm going to tell you, regardless of what these TV shows tell you, you're not encountering a damn demon. So get that shit out of your head. Sorry for my language. But sleep paralysis is probably one of the most terrifying things you'll ever encounter. And when I woke up, I had this pressure on my chest and I couldn't move. After what seemed like 15 minutes, but let's be honest, it was probably 15 seconds when you're in that state. I shook it off, and when I sat up, now our trailer was not in possession of any street lights. There was no street lights within 60 yards of our trailer. And I could see a figure that was blacker than black, standing at the foot of the bed, kind of like leaning over me. I saw it drift backwards into the hallway. It didn't walk. The legs never moved. It floated backwards into the hallway. And then the light bulb in the hallway got extremely bright and shattered.
Ooh.
The very next day, I went and bought my first paranormal book. And that was back in July of 2006.
Okay.
So I have been doing this for a very long time. And I've still never been able to explain what happened to me that night, let alone the stuff that happened to me well beforehand. And there would, like I said, there's a lot that goes into that. And I mean, I can kind of touch on a little bit of it if you guys would like. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So before I was married, I had a friend that I felt did me wrong. I studied Wicca. I went into a dark place because I felt like this friend had done me wrong and I made a voodoo doll. So if anyone out there studies Wicca or if you have anything to do with the occult, you know about the fact of the rule of return. Anything that you do negative towards someone comes back on you tenfold if it is an unjust negativity. Apparently, it was an unjust negativity based off of assumption because I went through hell for about 4 years. I'm talking about my dog died, scratching on my bed frame, like literal scratch marks on my bed frame that weren't there before my dog died, which my dog used to sleep in my room every night. And as a matter of fact, the night that she died was when it started. So I think maybe she was there protecting me from an ambient spirit that was already in the house. Because she refused to sleep in any other room, even during the day. If she wanted to take a nap, she would go and curl up on my bed and take a nap. And there was a night that she lost her functions, I guess you could say. I mean, she was 16 years old. That's pretty old for a pit bull.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she lost her functions. And the next day I told her, Stormy, you can't stay here anymore. You need to go and sleep in the living room because I can't have you doing that on my bed. My father woke me up the next day, brought me down to the dining room, and she was curled up in a ball underneath an end table. She had passed.
Aw.
And I forever carry that guilt. I forever will. Because if I had not kicked her out of my room that night, would she have passed?
There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
It really isn't. But the very next day, that was when I started hearing the scratching on the side of my bed frame. my blankets were being tugged from the foot. And after about 2 days of that happening, I don't know why, but something in my brain told me it was Stormy subconsciously, because that's what she used to do. She would freaking tug on my blanket if she wanted attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about 2:30 in the morning on the third night after she died. I had fallen asleep. I woke up to this tugging on my blanket, and I kicked my foot back, and I hit something solid. And I was like, "Oh my God, Stormy, I didn't mean to kick you. I'm sorry, honey. I know you're just trying to get on the bed." And then I heard this, what I can only describe as inhuman voice, say my name. So I am OCD about doors. My bedroom door is shut right now, and I will shut every door in the house before I go to sleep because I don't like open doors. I don't know what it is. I rolled over, turned on my flashlight, and my closet door that I know that I had latched, because it was a French style door that opened from the middle, it had the latch in the center, was wide open. And I knew that I latched that before I went to sleep. I would have never went to bed with that open. Over the next several months, it went from the voices, the scratching on the bedpost, pulling on the blankets, to tapping on my window every morning, sets of 3 at 3 a.m. And if you know anything about the paranormal, you know the sets of 3, mocking of the Trinity. But here's the thing, is unlike a lot of people who tell stories when it comes to the mocking of the Trinity and things they experienced, I have witnesses that I had come stay the night that can tell you that they got woken up at 3 a.m. to 3 sets of 3 taps on my bedroom window. And when we opened up the blinds, there was no one there. So the funny thing, though, going back to the beginning of the story, before I got married, the voodoo doll, it disappeared off of my shelf. And even after we all moved out, and my sister now owns that house, by the way, but after we moved out, we never found the doll. It disappeared completely. No one knows where it is. We never were able to find it.
Interesting.
That is crazy. It just goes to show, like, when you deal with stuff like that, you really don't know what you're gonna be, coming up with, what's gonna happen, because stuff. There is a lot more out there than we know about, and we do research, we talk to people, but we're only allowed to see. They're only letting us see what they're allowing us to see.
Right.
It makes you wonder, because with a lot of things like crystals and things like that, they say things have, like, I don't want to say a shelf life, but a period of time, they'll either break or they'll crack when they serve their purpose. So it's like, did it serve its purpose?
I can tell you that's a fact, because I don't wear rings. I don't like jewelry. The only jewelry I wear is this necklace, and that's because it was a family necklace that my father gave to me. I used to wear rings made of hematite. We all know, well, I'm not going to say we all know, because I don't know what your viewers know, but hematite is a naturally magnetic stone. It's known for healing. It's known for many other things. If I wear a hematite ring for 3 or 4 months, it will swell on my finger and break. So I kind of feel like that does coincide with the even stones that you're using for protection have a shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sounds like this shows they're working overtime.
You know what? They've got to here, because I've got a haunted doll in my closet. So they got to here.
By choice, you have a haunted doll in your closet?
You keep the closet door shut?
I don't have any closet doors, unfortunately.
Oh,
my nephew broke them. But no, the haunted doll is here by choice, because, well, do you want the story or not?
Sure.
Okay, so my ex was driving home from work one day, and she happens to drive by this doll that is in this really ornate case. I'm talking about, like, hand carved, got acorn shells for the roof shingles. just sitting out by the curb. And I'm like, my initial thought was, you know what? My brother's chlorophobic. I am going to get this clown doll and I'm going to put it upstairs outside of his bedroom while he's sleeping.
It's a clown doll.
It is.
Okay.
So I go and I grab this clown doll and I leave it on the back porch because I had no intention of bringing it into the house. Because to be honest with you, the thing kind of creeps me out. I'm not even afraid of clowns.
Clowns are creepy to begin with.
Right.
So the ex comes home. She's like, "What is that thing doing here?" And I was like, "Well, in my defense, you're the one who told me where it was, because I didn't know anything about it."
Right.
So, but yeah, so my brother actually wants the clown doll, even though he's chlorophobic. And that screams volumes to me as to whatever is attached to that thing. And I know something is because I run application tests on YouTube. Like, I'll download paranormal applications, I'll test them out, tell you whether or not they work. Very similar to the work that I do on TikTok, where I take paranormal videos and I break them down to natural explanations to tell you what's going on and what's actually not going on. There's a lot that I do in the paranormal. But my daughter was up here and we ran 3 different applications and we got the same exact name, which is not a common name, which is Ian, through 3 different applications while my phone was sitting in the case of that doll.
Huh.
And the other thing that was compelling was when we picked up the doll at first, I didn't realize the back of the case was unlatched. So it's a ceramic doll. It fell out head first. So if it fell out of the case head first on the concrete, what do you think is going to break?
It should have shattered.
Yeah.
The only thing that broke on it was the foot. So when we were running the applications test, the Ghost Hunter 2 app, what we got was when I asked the question, "What are you upset about?" It said sad. I said, "Okay, well, why are you sad?" It said broken. I said, "What's broken?" And it said foot.
So, wow. That's oddly specific.
And I have that on recording on one of my YouTube videos.
So you do all these application tests with the apps and stuff. Which ones do you think actually work?
So I have 2 that I typically turn to. I love, and it's a very simple name, the Ghost Hunting Tools app. When I tested that application at Medfield State Hospital in Medfield, Massachusetts, we got names specifically linked to the location. So here's the thing about me. When I research, because I tell you guys, I don't typically label myself as a paranormal investigator. I label myself as a paranormal researcher.
Mm-hmm.
When I research a location, this is my folder on Medfield State Hospital.
Wow, that's
Right.
quite a read there.
I have every state and city document from 1928 up until the year that it closed. I have a separate folder for the Medfield State Hospital Cemetery that tells you every person that was buried in that cemetery, whether or not they were an employee or what they called an inmate of the state.
Okay.
Every single name we got through that application, I was able to link back historically through the documents that I have sitting in front of me.
Wow. I mean, that is awesome. You didn't do that much research for your investigation. So when you do these tests, man, you really leave no stone unturned when it comes to.
I try not to. And mind you, this wasn't even me being asked by the location to come in. This was just a place I love to go to because they won't let me in. I've tried.
Huh.
But they don't allow paranormal investigations in there due to asbestos exposure.
Oh, well, I can understand that. You don't you don't want a lawsuit.
Yeah, and I know John, the caretaker. I've offered to sign waivers. I've offered to wear respirators. He let me into the chapel, and he said that next year he might let me into the hydrotherapy unit. So the hydrotherapy unit is kind of interesting because there was a man who was sent into a hot hydrotherapy bath, and an incident was going on down the hall. The nurse who was supposed to be watching him left him alone and forgot he was in the hydrotherapy bath, and he ended up boiling to death.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And another fun fact, if you didn't know, Medfield State Hospital is where Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio was filmed. Um,
Oh,
it
cool.
also was the filming location of X-Men: The New Mutants. It was also the filming location of oh god, there was a movie that involved a gangster that was released recently. Who was that? Anyways, doesn't matter. But there's been multiple movies filmed at this location, so I know if they're willing to allow a filming crew to go into the hydrotherapy unit, there should be no reason I can't get access.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to push that because no paranormal show has ever filmed at that location. I don't own a paranormal show. I don't run a paranormal show. Well, besides my podcast, but it would for me. That would be, if I was going to do a paranormal documentary, that would be my start. Because I know so much about the location and I know so much of the history. I know about in the women's epileptic ward, there was a guy who broke in and beat a caretaker to death with a hot iron poker. There was an axe murder that took place behind the tuberculosis ward. I know so much about that location that if you're going to have anyone film a documentary, it should definitely be me.
So are these stories you've gotten of this location, like these like boiling in the hydrotherapy, are these documented things?
They are.
And the reason I ask this is because we have an asylum here in Virginia, and there's actually somebody doing some research and writing a book because there's been so many stories told, but now from what they're finding, like some of them weren't true.
So
legends.
Every story I just told you, I was able to go back through microfilm and I was able to find literal documents through the newspaper stating that these happened.
That's really cool.
And and people don't realize the amount of research that goes into that.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of hours. You got to sit there and you got to scroll through, in some cases, in some locations, 80, 90 years. You're looking through newspapers trying to find articles, and it's not easy.
You really have to be passionate about what you do to do that much research. We run the cabin. I wish I had that much information on the cabin, a big binder full of information, and I'm sure it'd be cool to have that much information about Belle Grove, although.
Oh, for sure. And by the cabin, do you mean the cabin on 360?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I thought so. I knew you looked familiar.
Oh, yep, that's me. I was
messing with you, by the way. I already knew that, but.
But yeah, I mean that's so cool. You guys, you did that much research, but so you haven't been able to get into there. But where have you been able to investigate? What's your favorite place to investigate up there?
So here's the thing: is I am multi-United States. Okay, I as far as like all up the Eastern Seaboard, I've been to so many places. In Alabama, I got to go into the old Bryce Mental Institution in Tuscaloosa. I got to go into the Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham.
Ooh.
I got to go in St. Augustine. I got to go into Castillo de Santa Marcos, which is the oldest Spanish-American fort in the United States. I got to go into the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. I got to go into the oldest jail down there. I've investigated the Lizzie Borden house. I've investigated the Madame Cherie Castle ruins. There's a lot. But here's the thing. Those were all public cons, okay? Those were all events that I went to. I don't normally do events. Mm-hmm. My forte is private investigations, helping families. And people don't realize the differential. Especially newer paranormal teams, and I'm not talking bad about any of your listeners or anybody who's watching the show. There's a lot of paranormal teams out there that don't realize the delicacy of doing these kinds of cases. Because a public haunt, you can go into this public investigation, right? And whatever you leave behind is what you leave behind. You go into a private residence, whatever you leave behind, that family has to deal with when you leave if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose a favorite place since you asked that I've ever investigated, for me, it's going to be the Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine, Florida.
Nice. I want to go down that way.
Yeah,
I heard
anything in Florida.
I heard cannon fire that I couldn't explain. The funny thing was I was never supposed to end up at the Castillo. I got invited by the Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth Park to investigate claims of Native American spirits on the ground. So I went down there, I did that whole thing, and we did catch several times on audio recording sounds of ceremonial tom-toms. I don't, maybe someone in the area was beating a tom-tom that I couldn't physically see as far as, for aesthetic, or maybe they were just kind of trying to hype up their location. I can't say that for certain. But what I can tell you is I don't trust the audio that I caught, specifically because it's a limited field of view when it's completely pitch black.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's where my skeptical mind comes in. That's what I do on TikTok, as you guys already know. I go through and I find these videos and I break them down, or people share me videos and I tell them why this could be explained to a logical explanation or reasoning. And
yeah, it's tough when you share evidence, and people aren't there, so they don't know all the variables
right
that are going on in the exact location. So that's why your word really has to mean a lot when it comes to paranormal evidence, because that's all you really have. Because you're
right.
basically showing just your camera's point of view. If you have a camera, your point of view, you're not seeing the side or the back. You got to trust that you are the only one in that room, or the people they're with you in the room aren't saying the stuff that's on the recorder. So you have to share proof that it is an actual spirit.
Right.
Correct.
Doing it.
And that is, I agree with you 100%. And that is why anybody that's on my team, I give them a handbook, I give them a field and evidence guide, and I give them a troubleshooting guide as far as troubleshooting equipment or what you can do as far as tagging recorders to ensure that there's no contamination. And before they can even join my team and start training, they have to pass an examination that I write out with a 90% or above. If they cannot pass that examination, I give them 2 chances to do it. So it's not like a one and done. That tells me they didn't read the handbook and they're in this to try and make money, and or they just don't understand the handbook. And I asked them that the first time they fail. Because I have had that happen. I have had someone fail and I said, hey, did you just not understand what I typed? Or, what is the communication issue here? And he said, well, I just don't test well. I'm like, well, can you do the test orally? Can you do it that way? And he said, yeah. I gave it to him orally, and he had every question nailed on the head. So there's multiple factors you have to take into play. And it's one of those things where I do the things the way that I do them because it's my reputation and my team's reputation on the line.
I mean, nowadays it's so easy to fake things, and it puts a bad reputation on teams like yourself who try to do things the right way. But you've really got to do that to kind of like be like, okay, well, I've basically done everything I can to make sure that what I put out there is legit.
Correct.
Because like I said, there's so many people who put clickbait stuff out there, or fake stuff out there.
And those are the people that my TikTok videos are aimed at. So there have been a few that I've put out stuff, and I've straight said, I can't explain this. I can't explain everything. But a majority of stuff, you just have to look at your surroundings. You have to pay attention to the building that you're in. I mean, let's be honest. If you're in a building that is halfway falling apart and you hear a noise down the hallway, what's to say something didn't fall from the ceiling?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff is easy to kind of be like, all right, well, it could be that, even if it's not, you don't know.
How many paranormal TV shows do you see? They just hear a noise.
Yeah.
And they overreact.
But that's all.
Yep. It was the demon on this floor.
That's all entertainment stuff. They freak out. They want to make it entertaining. And they'll put like an EVP out that makes no sense. It has 0 like words in it, and it'd be like, oh, it says hi, Nate. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I heard hi, Nate. Oh my God, they're talking to me. You
So
know?
I can tell you through my years of paranormal investigation, I was supposed to be on the original. I don't know if you guys remember this show or not, but I was supposed to be on the original airing episode of Ghost Hunters Academy.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I interviewed for it, I got accepted, and I was ready to go. But then I found out that my ex-wife was pregnant. So I emailed the producer and I was like, "Hey, look, I can't do the show. It's going to be more advantageous for me to stay at home with my family. My wife is pregnant. I've got to be here." And who took my place? None other than Adam Barry.
Oh,
And
crap.
I've investigated with Adam almost 6 times. I love Adam to death. He's a great guy. But a few years later, fast forward, I think it was 2020 when they decided to reproduce the Ghost Hunters show and revamp it.
Mhm.
I was interviewed for that. And I shit you not, can I say that?
Yes.
No, yeah, go ahead. It's
So-
after hours. Kids are in bed.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask, but I shit you not. One of the questions that was asked during my interview was, would you be willing to embellish your responses for TV viewers?
To
And
embellish, does that mean like
overreact.
like yelling at
Overreact.
something? Yeah.
And I told them
mean-
absolutely not.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, it's tough because it's when you see like someone getting a cool piece of evidence and they're like, "Oh, wow, well that's cool." It's not really. It's not doesn't make for good television.
Right.
But if you're like, "Oh my God, that is so cool," then I can see that part and be like, "Okay,"
No, I get,
but not
why
like
they're asking.
faking it.
I get why they're asking, but at
Mhm.
the same point,
Yeah, where does it end?
Right.
Because
Right.
if you really embellish that, what would you probably be like? Okay, can
yeah.
you
So
embellish?
can I call
a
out
knock
TV
on the
shows by
wall?
name? Because I'll do so.
Yeah,
Because you know what? I run the Paranormal Unveiled podcast, and let me tell you, some of the guests that I have coming on are going to be completely controversial. And I'm going to be calling them out on, and I have receipts. So
Mm.
oh,
it's going to get
That sounds like good watching.
it's going to get really interesting. I decided to start it off kind of mellow to get my following going, and then I'm going to bust into the hard topics. I was compared to a friend of mine who said that he thought I was going to be the Howard Stern of the paranormal. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But
Well, you
We'll
got to
see.
be careful because you don't want to alienate your guests so they won't end up not wanting to come on your show at the same time.
but that's where you have to be tactful with the wording of your questions and
This is
accusations.
true. This is true.
If you can be tactful of the wordings of the accusations, you can make it sound more like a question than an accusation.
True.
Very true.
Yeah. So the Paranormal Unveiled podcast, you've been doing this. What you said 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months, yes.
Is it what day is it on?
Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Awesome.
And-
Well, if you ever want to talk about the cabin on 360,
Oh, I've already
You
told
know.
you I want you on the show.
awesome.
Yeah, 'cause
Um,
I definitely want you guys on the show. As a matter of fact, if I can ever get in that area, I want to go to the cabin.
Nice.
we would love
We
to
love
have
it.
you down
'Cause
here.
I'll be in Connecticut next weekend, and then I'm actually flying out to Wisconsin
Ooh.
the weekend after that. I got invited to go to the Paranormal Rock Down by the owner of Broadhead Manor, Bill Walter. And so I'll be staying 4 nights in Broadhead Manor,
Nice.
sleeping in various spots, doing my thing. I'm actually going to sleep outside the last night that I'm there. I'm setting up a tent, and I'm sleeping by the Indian burial grounds that are known to have Slender Man looming around. So I'm going to test that theory.
wow, sounds like a fun camp out.
Yeah.
You know what?
You
For me,
and Slender Man roasting marshmallows. Sounds like a good time.
you know what? Please, Slender Man,
S'mores and
come on
Slender
over.
Man.
Bring the Hodag with you, because I know that's a cryptid in the area. So a lot of people disregard the fact that there is different sects of the paranormal. You know,
Yes.
there's different
Mhm.
sects of religion. If you go into the paranormal, you have your people who study UFOs only, the ufologists. You have your people who study cryptids only, they're cryptozoologists. You have those people who study ghosts only, they're ghost hunters. I am a paranormal researcher because I study and research all aspects of everything unknown. That is including the cryptids, aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spontaneous human combustion, near-death experiences, you name it.
Wow, that's good. You're kind of like you dip your toe in just about every
Yeah.
field when it comes to this, and that's kind of like what we do on the show. We kind of like try to talk about everything and bring all different types of guests onto the show. But we are getting towards the end of the show, and
Yeah.
I want to just thank you very much, Nathaniel, for coming on and joining us. Can
There is no need to thank me. I thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, we definitely appreciate you taking the time and joining us tonight. Can you let people know how they can get in touch with you or follow your show?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Facebook at Nathan Elwell. It might be Nathaniel Elwell. I have two different profiles. One was an older one. It's going to be the one with me kind of cross-armed. You'll find it. But so you can
Looking
find me
like a
on
badass.
TikTok. You can find me on TikTok at Static Voices if you want to see paranormal breakdowns as far as me finding paranormal videos and breaking them down to a logical aspect. You can find me on Twitter at Static Voices. You can find me on YouTube at the same handle as Static Voices. Yeah, I mean, you can find me at the Paranormal Rockdown in Broadhead, which is going to
Awesome.
be
You know what? I almost got tickets to go to that. I actually
Yes,
really
sir.
thought about going to it. I wish I
Oh,
had
that would
now.
have been so cool.
You can find me at the Paranormal Rockdown at Broadhead from July 18th to July 20th. You can find me at the Connecticut Paracon from July 11th to July 13th. And who knows, I may make a special guest appearance down in Gettysburg for the Gettysburg Bash the following weekend.
My friend Dennis is going to be there at the Gettysburg Bash with the
Yep, and
Cabin
my
360.
my
table.
team's going to be down at the bash as well.
There
I'm
we
not sure
go.
if
So
I'm
you-
going down, but my team will be down there as well.
I haven't decided whether or not I'm going or not, only because I have split custody with the ex. So
Mhm.
I don't want to take too much time away from my son. I feel like I'm already asking her a lot to take 2 weekends.
Well, if
Understood.
if you do end up going, swing by the cabin table and tell them Ryan and
Oh, no
Rhonda
doubt.
sent you.
No doubt, because I definitely want to eventually come down and see the cabin for myself. And I would definitely want to have you guys on the podcast to discuss the cabin itself, because the place intrigues me. I've watched the TikToks. I know what you guys have going on. It is intriguing.
Funny story, real quick. We had a team come down from New Hampshire, drove down 9 hours or however long it takes to get down there, and they packed their stuff in an expedition. Dennis gave them the tour of the place. About an hour and a half later, they rented the house for the whole weekend. About an hour and a half later, they called Dennis and told him that they left the key. They were going back to New Hampshire. They couldn't stay the whole weekend.
I will
Because-
come down there and stay in there myself if you will
I
help me.
mean,
If
the
you will
stuff
help
that
me
they
with travel.
said happened to them was too much. They saw too much, and they said that whatever was on the land was tearing their team apart. They were perfectly fine when they got there, but by the time they left, they were at each other's throats.
Oh,
So-
well, I'll tell you what. Maybe I'll start a Kickstarter, because I'll come down and stay the night in that cabin by myself.
Hey, we offer pretty good rates. So it's like $400 Sunday through Friday, and then $500 on a Saturday to investigate 2 houses and a Civil War battlefield.
It's really
The
not
cabin
that
on
bad,
360, Steve.
But what if I wanted the whole weekend?
That would be something you need to work out with Dennis.
Yeah, because
But I'm sure he can work
that's a
something out
trip.
with you.
That would be a trip for me.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it would whatever it is not going to be as much as other places people investigate. We definitely
Wait,
try to make it.
So do me a favor, have Dennis reach out to me after the podcast or whenever he's awake in the morning or whatever. No rush, but
Mhm.
maybe I can set something up for next year.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I will definitely.
I'm not gonna bring a team. I'm gonna come by myself.
It's a flat rate. So whoever being a team, bring a person.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just telling you, I prefer to come by myself because that way I eliminate any
Yeah.
kind of external experiences.
I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to you have that way you don't have to worry about other people making noise. You'll know you're the only person.
Right. And
Yeah.
if I end up leaving in the middle of the night, then you know what? I just lost out on some money. But I can promise you this: it's going to take a lot more than some noises to run me out of a place.
Well, I'll tell you about what they saw after the show because it's a whole other thing.
Please, because I'm intrigued.
So again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We will try to maybe have you back on in the future to hear some more of your paranormal stories.
Yeah, and especially go into like all of the paranormal because you're right. There's all these. It's like religion. There's what people don't realize is how much they touch each other.
Mm-hmm.
If
They
you really
do.
If you start diving in, they really all touch each other.
And going back to the beginning of the cast when you brought up the car to the horse, take the reins. You don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Those are good. That's a good way to end this segment. Nathaniel, we appreciate you, and we will have you back on in the future, and look forward to joining you on the Paranormal Unveiled podcast.
Yes,
sounds great. I look forward to having you guys.
All right, brother. You take care.
You as well.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oops. That was awesome.
That was so much fun.
I really enjoyed that conversation.
Me too.
That was fun. It's cool because, I reached out to him on TikTok. I'm like, hey, you want to come on the show? It's cool that you can be able to talk to these people you may not ever have the opportunity to talk to through social media and stuff like that. So next week is going to be easy for us.
What do we got next week?
It's going to be an easy show because we have Chris Garcia.
Oh, nice.
Giving readings next week on the show. So, guys, if you want a reading from medium Chris Garcia next week, we are going to have him on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
He's got a good reputation.
Yes, he does.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. And these next few shows are going to be awesome. We got Jeannie Payette after that, and then I'm on vacation.
Yep. Vanessa Hogel, right?
Vanessa Hogel. I think we might do a female
roundtable.
So I think Jeannie may be coming back.
Hey, let's do that
too. And the week after, I've got Sketchy and Spooky Journeys coming on the show. They're on TikTok and they do sketchings. They do like what's that? Automatic drawings.
Oh, that's
they
cool.
see a location. So that's gonna be a fun show. And then August 5th, we have Curious Things Investigations. I talked to a girl on TikTok who had some paranormal experience named Mel Skate, Paranormal Experiences, on August 12th. And then August 19th, Dana Marie Volmer comes back to do some more tarot card readings.
Very awesome.
The next month and a half, we have got some great shows.
Yes, we do.
Coming up for you freaks. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, next week we'll be talking with Chris Garcia. And he'll be doing some readings for us. We're super excited to be having him back on the show. And if you have any questions for Chris, again, we're gonna ask like one question, general reading. So we'll get as many people on as possible. Kind of like we do with Dana when we have Dana on the show. Yeah. Because it even with that, it takes close to 2 hours to get everything done. So we want to be here till 1 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, we want to make sure everyone gets what they want to get accomplished next week. So what do you guys have coming up on the Orion Effect?
The Orion Effect, we're starting the series, the Clockwork series, and we're starting to begin talking about conspiracy theories. So I think that first show will be this Sunday. Nice. And then Saturday, I'm heading to Gettysburg to investigate the Knoxland House.
Oh, fun! So we have some stories to tell on Tuesday. That's awesome. That's awesome. Freaking Awesome Playlist is on July 13th, and we're talking. I think we're doing drinking songs.
Yeah, we're doing drinking songs.
And my sister is actually going to be joining us.
Oh, cool.
My sister Amy will be joining us that night. So that'll be
Nice.
fun.
Awesome.
Anywho, guys, thank you for joining us, especially on, National Zip Code Day. We appreciate it. Steven asked what kind of cabin. It was the cabin on 360. I'm not sure if I answered that or not. But we appreciate you guys, and we'll be back here Tuesday night with Chris Garcia. Same freaking awesome time.
Same freaking awesome show.
Have a good one.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.